by Mr. Ed, I have to look at your name, DeFiglia, in his 2-minute response. I should also add that we have members of the press here, both from the patch and from your organization, Education Counts. And the Education Counts organization compiled some questions pertinent to this election, so I'll be including them during the question and answer, which will follow the formal presentation. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each of the questions. And if, gentlemen, if I didn't mention this, but if you would like to have another minute after your first minute, just signal, and then we'll each get another minute. Occasionally, when I find a stack of cards, I know our hosts here provided these cards for questions. If there are a whole bunch of questions on a certain topic, I will maybe stretch it out rather than go back and forth in these 1 minute. So we'll see how that works tonight. I would be very remiss if I didn't acknowledge up front the organizer, Jennifer Woodward, and Roberta Auerbach, raise your hand, who will perform the essential role of serving as timekeeper. So I'll be having my eyes on you, Bernie, as you know. Okay, we can begin now. I have to ask, are you all set? Okay. So, Mr. Franz, would you like to begin?
Thank you. My name is Phil Franz. I'm the father of 3 awesome daughters. Isabella in 7th grade at Chatham Middle School, Allie in 5th grade at Lafayette, and Frankie in 3rd grade at Washington. My wife, Chris, who's also awesome, and I've lived in the borough since the summer of '99. Love it. There's a unique sense of community here, and I value very much the community that we do have. When we moved here back in '99, we looked at Chatham because of the school district, and because of the school district first, and my opinion of that has not changed. If the school district is strong and vibrant, the community is strong and vibrant, and vice versa. I'm not in this for myself. I never have been. I'm in this to give back to the community, to give back to our kids, our friends, our neighbors, our teachers, administrators, the school district. I want to do the right thing for them and by them, and that includes all of you here tonight. When I first joined the board last fall, I viewed it as an opportunity to see what it was all about, with a shorter-term commitment. My board experience so far has been great. It's not a love fest by any means, but I have been so impressed with the other board members, the President, Tom Belding, Jill Critchley-Weber, Superintendent Dr. LaSousa, and Vice Superintendent Ms. Chase. They all have a wealth of knowledge, provide great leadership, and each of the other board members all have many strengths and valued opinions, and each of those are evident to me at each and every meeting. The role of the Board of Education is to ensure that the superintendent can do his job, which in turn enables the administration, faculty, and staff to do their jobs, all ultimately for the benefit of our children as well as the residents, in all cases as efficiently, economically, and productively as possible. I would like to continue to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeFiglia.
Sure. My name is Ed DeFiglia. I first moved to Chatham in 1989, and I was moved here for the school district from Hudson County. My son, Tony, starts Washington Avenue in the fall, and my daughter, Isabella, is 2. She has a few more years, and my wife, Lexi, sitting right there. I believe in volunteerism. It's something that I believe very strongly in, and I volunteer on a number of committees in town. And talking to residents in the community, one of the things that I heard a lot was that they'd like to know more about what's going on at all levels of government. And one of the areas that I saw a need was here with the school board, and that so many of the school board meetings conflict with borough council meetings, and that the meetings aren't usually broadcast, although I see that we are being streamed this evening. That's something that I think that all the school board meetings should be. So I've taken this opportunity in my campaign to bring this issue to the forefront and to talk to my resident neighbors, my friends, about this issue and to get them involved in the process. And I want to thank the League for putting this event on, and I want to thank all of you who came tonight, because I believe that democracy should be an interactive process and not just one that's spectated from afar. So my goal in running is to bring communications to the forefront and make sure all residents of the borough, not just parents or not just the folks who have the time to come out to the meetings, that they know what's going on and that they can participate more in the process. And that's my story.
Thank you. We'll have our first question to Mr. Franz, and then we'll alternate of who goes first. And our first question is this. What is your position on the 3 ballot questions? If you support, why? If you don't support, why? What is your rationale?
The 2 ballot questions or 3?
This says 3. Since I don't live here, I can't help
The base
out.
plus 2. Base plus 2.
Okay, the base being the first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my opinion is this: we, you know, the thought process was, you know, I think you have to identify that which you need today, that which you need tomorrow. You know, the base budget. I think a lot of time was put into that by the Finance Committee, looking at past budgets, looking at the needs of the community today, the school system today. The other 2 items, question 1 and question 2, I feel strongly about. I feel that, you know, the need for counselors is a valid one. I think it's something our kids today certainly would benefit from. And the need for security, I think, unfortunately, based on circumstances that happened in Connecticut and just the world we live in today, we need to at least acknowledge that and do something about it in each school, not just one school, but in all schools. I think that how we felt about and how we looked at it is the way to do this is to be aware of, though, too, that, you know, taxpayers as a whole, it's up to them how they want to choose. And I think by piecing these together rather than bunching them apart or bunching them together was the way to approach these 3 questions, the base plus the other 2.
Thank you. Mr. DeFiglia.
Sure. On the question regarding the SACs, I feel very passionately about SACs, and I think that a lot of members of the community don't understand all the role that they do, and I don't think it's been quite well explained at all the school board meetings that I've attended. I happen in my professional career to have had the opportunity to interact with a number of SACs in various school districts around the state, and they provide a wealth of services to the community, especially when it comes to mental health, which, again, because of the tragedy at Sandy Hook, has come to the forefront of national attention. And it's a problem that's been simmering for a very long time, and it's one that needs to be addressed. And in the schools, that's where our children are for the bulk of their waking hours of the day. So to have someone on hand who's able to deal with the issues that arise is just, it's a resource that we cannot do without. As for the second question of security, while I do support the need for security in all the schools, and I think it's essential, I do question the addition of an administrative position to oversee those positions. I think that's something that could have been handled otherwise. On the matter of the base budget, I have not had the chance to go through with and compare to all the previous budgets. I attempted to, but needed a little more time than I had. So I support the budget as is, but full well knowing that there are probably areas that might be able to be tweaked in the future.
Thank you. And this will go to you first, Mr. DeFiglia. Working under the premise that a Board of Education member should not seek to run the schools, but ensure that they are well run, what is the most important facet of our public schools that you will be monitoring?
Well, the school board looks mostly at policy. And in my experience, I have a master's degree in legislative affairs, which is involved in the process of creating policy. So best practices and policies that help guide schools and direct our administrators and professionals to do their jobs better. We can't be in the classrooms. We shouldn't be in the classrooms. We shouldn't be involved in the nitty-gritty details of everything, but ensuring that we are using the policies in our schools that are evidence-based, which is key. There are so many policies out there that are pushed by a lot of different organizations and plans and curriculums that are based on anecdotal evidence, but we need evidence-based strategies and evidence-based policies to improve the education in our schools. So making sure that those are in place is what I think is key for a board member.
Thank you. Mr. Franz.
I think at the core I appreciate what Mr. DeFiglia has said. And yes, I believe policy is a big part of it.
But I think at the core of it all is valuing the teachers. They are the ones who are first contact with our children each and every day. I think it's the interaction with them is at the key of all of this. And I'm not saying to go into the classrooms and interfere, but let them know how valued they are. Let them know that they are a part of a team. Let them know that what they're doing is much appreciated. And I sometimes think that gets lost in the facts.
This ties in with a board role. And Mr. Franz, you'll
Have the first crack at this. Do you think that the school district of the Chathams should have a long-range or strategic plan, or are you satisfied with relying on what I understand to be planning at 1 year at a time?
I think you have to do both. I think that to some extent, we do look ahead. Obviously, by that, for instance, the population. What are the studies? Where are they showing? Where is the school system going in terms of students? And with respect to that, what does that entail as far as construction or hiring or shaping the curriculum a certain way? But at the same time, so you can do that long term, but at the same time, you have to be ready to react on a short term basis based on what Trenton can or cannot do, or will do. Whether that's with respect to how we assess our teachers or what sort of financial consideration we're going to get on a year-by-year basis. I think those are all things that you need to take into account. And so I think it's a bit of both, long-term and short-term.
Thank you. Mr. DeFiglia.
Sure. I think that the long-term planning is key. I think that most successful organizations in both the public and private sector are successful because they have a long-term plan that they seek to follow while making minor course adjustments based on the circumstances of the day. But reacting year to year based on short-term issues is detrimental, and it might move our priorities away. So I fully support a long-term plan that the school sets in motion. But again, with not only the changes coming from Trenton, but the changes in technology and how we're teaching our children, how fast they're developing, we need to keep in mind that plan needs to be very flexible in how we incorporate new technologies into education.
Okay. Our next question will go first to Mr. DeFiglia, and that is, what kind of relationship should the board have with its community, parents, and senior citizens? And do you think as part of that response, do you think the current level of outreach and inclusion are sufficient?
I think that the school system is a resource for the entire community. And I think that involves not only parents of children who are in the school district, but parents of children who go to the private schools, people who live in town who don't have any children, as well as seniors in town who might have had children who've gone through the system or might not. They want to build a community. They want to live in a community. One of the reasons I love Chatham Borough so much is the involvement from the whole community. In the committees that I volunteer on, we have folks, young parents who volunteer as well as seniors. And talking to a lot of seniors in town, they're very concerned about their ability to stay in town for the long term, the way the property taxes, not just from those for the school board, but as well as the municipal taxes are going. In Chatham Borough and Chatham Township, while we do share a school district, have very different tax situations, whereas the township has managed to keep those tax levels flat for a few years. The borough does not have the same tax base that the township has. So reaching out to all members of the community is absolutely vital, because not only do we need to grow a school system that's effective in teaching our children, we need to build a community that's great for them to live in. And part of a vibrant community is having all different types of folks living in it. Our children can learn as much from the seniors as they can from, their extracurricular activities if they take the time to talk to them. So personally, I do not feel, after having talked with a number of my neighbors, and especially seniors in town, that the school board does an adequate job reaching out to them. Now, it's not to say that they do so out of negligence. I just think that there's better ways to reach out to those groups and to show them that there's ways for them to participate in the school district, and the school district can reach out to them in more effective means.
Thank you. Mr. Franz.
I'm concerned about staying in the community every year. I think, the relation that the board has to have with the community and vice versa is two-way. I think it needs to be open. I think it is. I think there's always room for improvement. As I